Hello. For your asynchronous lessons for today, I wanted to explain what assignments I'd like you to work on, and I figured the best way to explain this would be to walk you through what the overarching theme was for the assignments. So, one of the things that is important to understand when we're talking about talking and communicating in general is the concept of communication with people and groups in a larger setting. So when we are talking to other people, when we are communicating with others, we have a tendency to talk to other people in a way that says what audience we want to communicate to. So think about when you're talking to your friends. You have a way in which you communicate with them. But think about when you are hanging out with your friends and your friend's parents walk into the room. Do you notice that they change their behavior? They might suddenly sit up straight or say, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. Or maybe they suddenly have a change in the way that they respond to their parents. This is known as code switching. And the reason why I want you to understand this concept is that this difference in behavior is a skill. And code switching, in just this small way, is something that I want you to understand the importance of, because code switching is the concept that not only just generationally is important to understand, but is something that often can be applied to people and groups from different backgrounds, different language groups, different cultures, different races and identities. And the better adapted you are to code switching, the more skilled you are at communication. Now, code switching often gets a bad rap because essentially it is associated with the idea that if you are expected to code switch, that there's some sort of privileged idea that you have to in order to fit into this societal expectation. But code switching does give you an advantage in terms of being able to navigate into different worlds. What I mean by this is if you can code switch, it's like having a secret password to being able to move into different locations that other people don't have the secret language or the navigational tools to be able to get into. So what I have for you today are two assignments. One is a Newsela article that is shown to you right here with the title, "No One Laughs Exactly the Same Way All of the Time, and Here's Why." The other assignment that I have for you is the edpuzzle from the film Sorry to Bother You. Now, this is a pretty dark film. So this is only a two and a half minute clip that shows you essentially a pretty uh, jaded example, but accurate example of code switching on screen. And it gives you a pretty clear example of code switching when it shows how someone verbally switches language to demonstrate code switching. What I want you to notice is the way that they change their speech, the way that they change their demeanor to reflect the ways that they change their presentation to other people. Does that make the other person feel more comfortable? Does that make the other person suddenly feel like it's safer to communicate with them? And does that suddenly give that person more freedom to move in that space? The connection here, what I want you to understand is that if you have these tools, it gives you the power to be able to move in that space. Where we want to go from this is I want you to understand that this is a tool that you can use to your advantage. Okay? Think of it as something that you have in your tool set to then use outside in the real world. People that don't have this tool are stuck, unable to move outside of this bubble. They're stuck in whatever world they can't move out of. If you can move from one world to another, then you can move in all worlds. Okay? So, I'd like you to work on the 2 activities. And if for any reason you're not sure what to do next, then what I want you to do is that I want you to then refer back to what other work you might owe. So essentially, you have the Newsela assignments and the code switching edpuzzle. And then refer back to your Google Classroom to see what old work you might owe. And then, of course, there is the current work, which is featured here in the green Post-its from this Jamboard. Okay? So that is the update. That is your asynchronous assignments. And if for any reason you're unsure, you can refer back to this video for clarification. Guys, I will see you tomorrow.